people in self-organizing teams. This is the most difficult piece of Agile that I have found. How do you keep people motivated when they're being told, no, you can't do it that way. You have to do it this way. This is the way we've always done it, blah, 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 blah. And there is a equation called motivation equals AMP, autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And we'll get into the specifics of that in a little bit, what that means. But you need to be able, people need to feel that they are autonomous, that they are a subject matter expert, and that they are doing something that has a purpose other than fulfilling a meaningless requirement that somebody came up with that doesn't make any sense in the context of the whole. Audio has been fixed. Yay. Face-to-face is the most efficient method of communication. I have some words about that I'll talk about later, but the idea at the turn of the century was co-location. That the only way to get anything done is to co-locate all of the people that need to deal with it in a room and talk to them. That was the only way to do it. Working software is the measure of success. It relates to that value that we had before. Pursue tech excellence and good design. Definitions of that may vary, but it's essentially, yeah, make sure you get all the available technologies that you have at your fingertips and utilize them and build them into your designs. This one's kind of confusing, but this is what they wrote. Maximize the amount of work not done. The idea here is that when you're trying to build something and deliver it incrementally, that you only build those things that you absolutely are positive you can build. I know I can do this in the next 2 weeks. It's going to take me longer to get this other one done. So put that in the backlog. Don't use that one right now. My experience in 40 years of developing applications has been that 80% of the value that you're delivering is in 20% of the requests. And if that's true, which I have found it to be true, focus on the 80%. The pace of work is sustainable indefinitely. This is something that drives me nuts. Well, we're way behind, so everybody work overtime. Everybody spend the weekend fixing this. Everybody just go 24 hours until we get it all fixed. That's nuts. That's not sustainable. That is not a way to approach your work. You should be able to break it down into manageable chunks and deliver incrementally. That is sustainable. The get it all done this weekend is not a sustainable approach. Just a little aside, I used to work at the steel mills, and we had a project to build a blast furnace and coke battery. It was the largest construction project in the entire country at the time. And they did a study on overtime. And they found that after you work people, tradespeople, overtime for more than 2 weeks, you get the same amount of work in the next 2 weeks. And you're paying twice as much for it because you're paying them double time for all the overtime they're working. So it's not something that gets back to the sustainability thing too. And then formally reflect on how to become more effective. And this is basically the idea that you don't just complete the project and go on to your next one. You sit down and you look at what could we have done better? How could we have made this a better process? What technology did we miss and why did we miss it? What process did we not quite get right and why didn't we get it right? Those kinds of things. Okay, so this is Agile. That's it. They wrote the entire Agile manifesto in 3 days at the turn of the century. And this is it. This is all you got to worry about. So anybody want to, are you an expert in Agile? Yeah, I know the 12 things and the 4 principles. Anybody know who this guy is? I don't. This guy is named Ward Cunningham. He is the inventor of the wiki, which is a nonprofit tool. If he had sold it or built it like a Facebook or some other type social media thing, he'd probably be a billionaire. But he didn't. He said, nah, who's going to want to pay for this? It's just a good idea. I'm just going to build it and put it out there. He is one of the co-authors of the Agile Manifesto. Should I say that now? Yeah, I'll say, well, no, I'll say this. The second time I met Ward Cunningham was just after the Agile Manifesto had come out, and I was talking to him about a process that I had developed called AIM, Adaptive Implementation Methodology. It has a lot of the elements of Agile and a lot of the different things. And he said to me, well, you know, this is really good. Focus on Agile. Just be careful when the A gets capitalized. Why do you think he said that? His reference is to the billion-dollar industry that has grown up around Agile. Now there aren't 4 values and 12 principles. Now there are tons and tons of training and validation and certifications that go along with Agile. And one of the big complaints about Agile is that, well, it takes too long to teach people how to do it. And what? 4 values and 12 principles? It takes too long to teach people that stuff? What are you talking about? No, it's the people that said, ooh, I'm going to set up a program that will teach people how to do Agile. And we'll have to have Scrum Masters, and we'll have to teach them how to be a product owner, and we'll have to teach them how to be this and teach them how to be that. And we're going to have to give them software that supports all this stuff. And it's really complicated. Ward Cunningham, one of the founders, and all of the other founders seem to agree with him from the stuff that I've read. No, that's not the idea. It's a little a. It's not a capital A. Don't get sucked into the capital A stuff. It'll cost you a lot of money and waste you a whole lot of time. So as I sat thinking about, you know, okay, you're gonna leave corporate America. What are you gonna do? And I said, well, I'm gonna kind of try and take what they wrote up 20 years ago and kind of update it so that it makes sense in the context of today's technological environment. So instead of individuals, instead of the first Agile value that they have, I said, okay, I want individuals, I want the focus to be on individuals, the focus to be on their ideas and their thoughts. And I want that not to take precedence over tools and processes, but I want the individuals to be able to work with tools and processes that streamline virtual team interactions, not put everybody together in a room for 15 minutes every day and have them talk. That's not what I want. I want something that allows for virtual meetings, virtual conversations, and documents what goes on in those meetings. I don't want people to just stand up and answer questions in 15 minutes. I want working software. I agree with that. And I want to be able to automatically document it. I gave a presentation at Remedy, one of the rugs, right at the turn of the century, called taking the devil out of development. Design and delight your customers. And in that, I demonstrated how you can pretty much write Remedy to automatically document everything that's going on, the entire process. You don't have to do extra documents. You don't have to write anything else. You just write the software with a structure to it, and it all makes sense. You can go back and refer to it later and follow the flow and everything. Customer collaboration with processes that promote resolution. A lot of people argue about stuff in these things. We need a way, we need a process that says, okay, we get it, we hear you. We need to have a resolution on this. We need to find a compromise. We need to find a way to make this happen. Responding to change with processes that readily present and adapt to the best available technologies and methods. Technology has changed so much since the turn of the century. Darius was alluding to it earlier about his phone that's 3 years old. 3 years old. It was outdated 6 months ago, right? Or 6 months after you buy it. It's just like a car. You drive it off the lot. And oh, that's it. You don't need it anymore. There's something better. There's always something better coming out. So the pace of change has dramatically increased in terms of what's available to us now. What are the kinds of things we can do with the tools that we have? So my principles are: the highest priority is to satisfy the needs of the customer, not what the customer wants. Listen to the customer and find out what they need. Because a lot of times, and I've had this happen, I don't know how many times, customers saying, no, I have to have it this way, I have to have it this way. And I build them a prototype of something that gives them what they need that they didn't even know was possible. And they go, oh, well, that's better. So you want to focus on the needs of the customer, not just the wants. Formally reflect on how to become more effective. Obviously, that hasn't changed a bit. Now, instead of the amount of work not done, I say optimize the amount of work that you're going to do. Make sure you can deliver it. Ensure 15-minute tasks have their own priority. This is something that a guy at Motorola taught me. He had a list of all of these things he had to do. I mean, it was huge. There must have been 100 things on the list. And I said, how do you deal with that? He goes, well, I go through and I say, well, this is all the stuff I can get done in 5 minutes. And he just checks them all off. And if I can get all those things done in 5 minutes, I'm going to dramatically reduce the amount of stuff in my list. And I'm going to make some people really happy because I did these things. So if you've got something that somebody looks at and says, boy, I can get that done in 15 minutes. I know it's not important, but it's going to make somebody happy. Do it. Assign that person. There's got to be somebody who can go off and do it and get them all done. If they're only 15-minute tasks, get them done and deliver them. Ensure daily participation and collaboration throughout the process. I agree with this 100%. Haven't really changed that one. Face-to-face is the most efficient method of communication. I agree. I love to sit down with people and talk face-to-face with them. But we have to provide processes in this day and age and tools that make virtual teams more effective and more efficient than sitting in a room together and talking about stuff. We need to get those technologies, and the technologies are there. We're using one right now. Maybe the voice doesn't work right now. Maybe this doesn't work. Maybe it takes us a while to get it set up. Doesn't matter. They are processes and tools that make virtual teams more effective and efficient than trying to put everybody together in a room. Provide sustainable, frequent, and continuous delivery of value. I have no argument with that one at all. Welcome and adapt to change that adds real value. Don't just because somebody's got a new iPhone doesn't mean you need to get one unless it adds value to your circumstances. Working software is the measure of success. I agree. But and I've had arguments with Agile masters and Scrum masters about this several times. I still believe that delivering the best possible solution in the time frame that the customer wants it every time is the ultimate metric. That's what people want to see something. I know you can't give me everything, but give me all of this. If you give me 80% of what I want on time, I'm not going to argue too much about the stuff you didn't get yet. As long as you properly prioritize the stuff you're delivering. Pursue tech excellence and good design. I've added some things to this. You've got to include adapting your designs to simplify and utilize best available technology and maximize reuse. If somebody wrote something already, go use it. Don't try and rebuild it. I don't know how many times, if you look at the code that other Remedy developers have provided, you'll see the exact same set of active links and filters with different names running in different locations on different applications. It's the exact same stuff. Why did they do that? Because they didn't have standardized field names. So they had to write another set of active links and filters that did the exact same thing because, hey, we can't write to a field that doesn't name the same as this field. So those are the kinds of things that you can do. The other thing that I've seen happen many, many times, especially with Remedy, is, Barry, we want you to build us an archiving solution. Okay, I'll go build an archiving solution. Well, let's see what Remedy has. Oh, man, this sucks. This is really bad. Go to somebody like Doug and say, Doug, your archiving solution sucks. And he goes, yeah, you're right, it does. Wait till the next release comes out. That's not my best available technology. I can't wait. They need it today. We built an archiving solution, ran it. It's still running today, even though Remedy finally did release their new archiving solution. And I still think mine's better. Motivate team members to find, design, build, and offer best possible solutions. Let your people know their ideas are welcome. Let your people understand that their perspective on the problem is important to solving the problem and making sure that you get in the best possible solution. So those are mine. Okay, let's talk about the motivating. All right. All of the companies I've worked for have done a horrible job at this. People need to feel that they're directing their own lives, that they're not being told what to do chapter and verse. This is exactly what I want you to do. Don't do anything different. Even if you look at it and you go, but if I did it this way, it would be much faster and much easier. Why can't I do it? Mastery, to get better at what we do. Exchange the information about the better ways to do it so that everybody else can learn from that, instead of just saying, nope, this is the way we've always done it. This is the way you should do it. And the last thing, knowing that the work that you're doing is of something larger than yourself. This is really important stuff. I'm working on something that's really important. I'm not just doing something because my boss told me to. There's a book called Drive, The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us by Daniel H. Pink. That's where I got that from. Very good. The next thing is build products, not projects. Now, why do we say that? Well, project builds require workers to focus only on assigned tasks. I told you to do this, go do it. Product builds allow workers to contemplate the whole. I know you told me to do this, but if I do this, it will solve this problem and this problem and this problem. Why can't I do it that way? And that's, again, from Understanding the Agile Manifesto by Larry Apke. 2 ways to motivate: fear and inspiration. An inspired enemy is rarely defeated. If all you are as a worker is afraid you're going to lose your job if you don't do what your boss tells you to, you're not going to be anywhere near as motivated as someone who is inspired by their boss, inspired by the work that they do. And that's Napoleon. And apparently the wherever he lost his major battle, the other guys were really much more inspired. His guys. Okay, I'm just going to stand up for a second. This is the Scrum PlanIT model that I've been building over the last few years. Okay, over here on the right, we have embracing technology and processes that preserve our humanness. We have brains. We are not automatons. Okay, tell us to do something. Give us a goal. Let us go figure out the best way to do it. And embrace technologies that do that. Don't just say, we can replace you with a machine. Reject technologies and processes that intrude upon it. Don't dehumanize me. Don't tell me that I need to do this little thing and that's all I need to do. No, I'm better than that. I get very frustrated with that. Enable workers to produce real value in a virtual environment. We are in a virtual environment, people. It happened. We're in a virtual environment. Stop pretending that co-location is an option. Okay? So as I worked on this, the first thing I built was this thing down here, the lower part. And I said, but that's great, but really the essence of what we're trying to do is this: bring together people with different ideas about what light is. Well, this is what I think of when I think of light. This is what I think of when I think of light. This is what I think of when I think of light. And this guy's from, 1920 or something. Oh, that's a candle. Yeah, we need to get more candles. And this guy has a traditional light bulb. Bring those people together and put their ideas together. Get the discussion, get the collaboration going, and you will produce lightning in a bottle. And when you have lightning in a bottle, it will generate the stories that you need. And then the stories, you need a system that will collect those stories, create the expectations of those stories. Okay, well, you told me this story. What do you expect us to do for that? And then the combination of the stories and the expectations will produce products. Sometimes one product, sometimes multiple products. And when I say product, I don't mean an actual deliverable separate application. It could be an enhancement. It could be anything that you need to do. Anything that you need, anything that your team needs to create. And then once you have a product idea, coupled with all these expectations, you can create deliveries. And those deliveries say, okay, I can build these 5 pieces of it right now, and I can get them done in 2 weeks. Anything that you can't get done initially goes into a backlog, and then it just goes right back through the same cycle. So these guys get together again, they look at the backlog, they say, okay. The critical piece of this in your self-organized team is that these are subject matter experts. Okay? How do I find a subject matter expert in whatever I'm trying to do? And I've had this problem in every corporation I've ever worked for. Who knows how to do this? Who's done this before? Who has some ideas on how to do this? Who's an expert in C? Who's an expert in integrations? Who's an expert in this? Who's an expert in that? my concept, and this came from my AIM idea, a technology shelf. There should be, just like we're collecting all the data, Remedy wants to collect all the data in one place. We should have a way to identify available technologies and available human beings who are experts in those technologies. So when you build a self-organized team, you can reach out to the right people and you can say, hey, I got an idea. How do I implement it? Oh, we got to bring this guy in because he's an expert in LED technology. So let's bring him in. And he's listed down here. Or somebody already built this thing and we can just go buy it. Well, how much does it cost? Well, it costs, $4 million. Oh, well, gee, we could build something better than that. Let's just go build our own and save ourselves $4 million. So this is the idea. So what we're going to focus on in the next presentation is this part right here. How do we get this working? And that's what I call the virtual stand-up, which is the next presentation that I'll do tomorrow. And then the third presentation will be on Thursday, which will cover stories, expectations, products, deliveries, and backlog. And speak a little bit to the technology shelf. As they say in Vegas, thank you. Thank you very much. There's my email address again. There's a salute to the evening. And I leave you with this final thing, which is a linchpin in my whole concept of as a developer, you never change things by fighting existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the old model obsolete. Do that, and you will be agile.
Everybody have any questions? All right, thanks, Barry.